Welcome to the evolution of esports, where you don't just play the game, you code it. The CodeCombat AI League is the first of its kind. Part AI battle simulator, part game engine for learning real Python and JavaScript. Refine and perfect your code in your quest to become a CodeCombat AI League champion. Competitive coding has never been so epic. Join now.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the Season 8 recap of the CodeCombat AI League, powered by HyperX. We just wrapped up our first ever farming season, where players needed to strategize, cultivate, and harvest in order to best the competition. And true to tradition, our annual CodeQuest tournament was in full swing this season for our players in China and the surrounding region. Today we'll be shining a spotlight on the season's finest moments and most remarkable plays. And as the cherry on top, stay tuned for the exciting reveal of this season's victors. Our overall champion will be awarded a prestigious $1,000 grand prize scholarship. I'm Adam, your host, and joining me we have Nick, CodeCombat CEO, Valentine, our AI League architect, Charlotte, the Director of Education at CodeCombat, and once again we have with us the legendary AI League champion Valent, who this season fully took on the project of the AI League arenas and made it his own. Nick, what did you think of this season?
Yeah, this one was an interesting one. We made it a little more challenging this time with the industrial, agricultural, automation, robot farming challenges. I can't wait to take a look at what people made of the mist and the rain and the obstacles and the 3 different crop types and all this sort of stuff. Over the summer, it's a good time for farming, and we had 2,200 players on the championship arena on top of 20,482 contestants on the Farmers Feud practice arena. The Farmers Feud, I got in there, my 8-year-old got in there, we're doing it online classes, he had a good time. The Farmscape Blitz championship made it a little more challenging, and I gotta say, some of those mechanics, I can't wait to see if the players are able to figure those out. So, the other thing about the Season 8 Summer Arena is that it overlaps with the CodeQuest tournament, which we're running in a bunch of Asian countries from our China unit. I'd love to introduce Bill in order to talk more about that.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. 新操, 사와디카, 你好, 你好, 안녕하세요, 오하요 gozaimasu. My name is Bill Wang. You can also call me Wang Laoshi in Chinese. I'm General Manager for CodeCombat China and Asia. I'm based in Beijing, China. First of all, let me give you a big round of applause to every one of you from all over the world. You've demonstrated strong enthusiasm and dedication over the 1-month-long computer science hackathon. We're strongly proud of each and every one of you. Great job, everyone. I'd like to extend my heartfelt thanks to partners, teachers, mentors, volunteers, developers across Asia to make CodeQuest 2023 possible here. To all the parents and guardians, thank you for inspiring and supporting your kids in computer science learning journey. Thank you. CodeCombat has 10 million users across Asia in total. Over the last 12 months, with a bunch of exciting activities in Asia. To name a few, CodeCombat China, 扣达世界 sponsored the whitelisted tournament endorsed by Ministry of Education, People's Republic of China. And our strategic partner, 斯坦星球 was ranked #1 among 539 schools and training centers. Congratulations! Our ICE tournament for Hong Kong, Macau, and Taiwan was held offline by our long-term partner, Caprica Educational Team, for the 3rd time in Hong Kong. Our strategic partner, Galaxy Education in Vietnam, and Dr. TJ's great team in Thailand deployed super exciting coding activities in local regions. Congratulations! Last but not least, my sweet memory goes to the recent Global Turing Program, which is a flagship bootcamp designed by Renmin University of China, RUC, and 扣达世界 CodeCombat China, for those talented and promising kids from all over the China. 36 students Join the program and let's take a look at the amazing program recap video together.
这次来训练营的3个目的，对吧？一个是什么？学知识；第二个长见识；第三个交朋友。
我非常高兴跟大家相聚在2023全球青少年培训计划科技训练营，想跟大家分享一下我们整个的图灵科技营的训练日程，以及呢非常重要的营规。人工智能第一个应用是我怎么把计算机和计算能力。 了解一下什么是即兴。
冰河里在交织，在变换，无际连接地被填满。 中间交互互联，年轻的新带来可能无限。
或许你也将是其中一员，也将通过层层的考验。
在中观从未来以来，并不遥远。假如我们把图练少年，未来。 召唤，世界也许因我而改变。创新的心从来未实现，让我们享有更好明天。未来突然已经在召唤，世界也许因我而改变。创新的心从来未实现，让我们享有更好明天。
Before we review the final result, I'd like to recognize your hard work, dedication, and strong passion, which have truly shown throughout in every challenge you've tackled. Remember, the skills you built and the friendship you've made throughout the tournament will stay with you as you continue to explore the world of computer science. Let's inspire each other, learn from each other, and dream big in the world of technology and innovation. Thank you and have a wonderful day. 谢谢.
Thanks for sharing those amazing results, Bill. Looks like everyone had a blast. Now, before we take a look at the winners, let's dive into some details about this arena's farming theme. In Farmers Feud and Farmscape Blitz, you're just a regular old farmer with a highly sophisticated robot that can also control weather. Totally normal, right? But seriously, this epic robot can build different objects such as farms, which earns you income, and rivers that can increase the income on your farm. You'll want to focus on what kinds of farms to build, such as gardens and wheat fields that you see here, as they earn income at different rates depending on what is near them. Now, where do you build these farms? You have 3 columns on your side of the field that's protected and can't be reached by the enemy's robot. However, the center columns are completely neutral, and you'll need to defend your farms there from any enemy attacks, such as poison mist. Yikes. There are also special abilities that can increase the income of your farms as well, such as mist and rain, which are temporary, but can be targeted at specific sections of the field. Then there are random boosts that you can collect and obstacles on the field that you'll need to clear or navigate around. At the end of the match, the player who has earned the most income from their farm wins. Valentine and Valen, what was it like developing this farm-themed arena? It looks quite different from our past arenas.
So, as you can guess, this arena was inspired by summer. So we wanted to do something more natural thing and something peaceful. And another thing, we wanted to have board games flavor about like positioning, placing cards, farms, and how it's placed, maybe some Carcassonne inspiration. For this arena, I took only game designer role. I mostly did nothing except main first direction, and everything else were done by Relive. So let's give him the word, and he will tell us about development and balancing and everything related to this arena.
Alright, so for the regular season arena of this AI League season, Farmers Field, we went in kind of with a different concept than what we usually do. In that the ultimate goal, the winning condition, is not to attack and defend attacks from your opponent, but to get the most point at the end of the match. And that is kind of a challenge for us, because usually we balance the arena by changing stats of units like the health, attack, and defense, but now we have to kind of balance the points that the crops give, how many bonus points, if there is kind of rain effect, mist effect. But thanks to the feedbacks from the community on the Discourse, we eventually were able to kind of overcome it and get the arena to the state that it is today.
Thank you, Alan. Now let's look at some gameplay.
So I pulled up the Farmers Feud regular season arena and marvel at my brilliant code, all 11 lines of it. And so my strategy here, I'm just going straight for the middle common ground, and I'm building. It looks like this player over here is in blue doing something a little more sophisticated. They're building a river through the middle, and then they've got some gardens that they've done near the river. Valentin, what's the strategy there?
Looks like we're trying to use gardens and river synergy the maximum, and I'm not sure why we're not following. Okay, now I see. We're trying to optimize amount of rivers in the same production. So one river affects all gardens around and other one, but gardens get the most maximum of that. Plus we see some construction to your robot, like with calling rain, so we're trying to slow down you. And poison mist, I'm not sure why or what we're trying to do. We're probably trying just like to buff. So kind of like obvious strategy, which doesn't require a lot of complicated strategy and contracting. Kind of like simple but effective.
Yeah, it certainly seems to be effective. They've got 100,000 points here, and so far I have 30,000. So congratulations to player blue on this one. Charlotte, Adam, anything you guys are noticing from the regular season arena? Like, this seems like a pretty straightforward run, right? You could run up and code this up in just a minute. Probably take me down anyway.
I agree. Now, I think Valentin makes a good point about strategizing which kinds of farms to build. I think your simple code is focused on wheat, but like Valentin was saying, like thinking about gardens because that takes advantage of the river. That's the kind of gameplay that we're going to be seeing, is thinking about the strategy of what farm types will best get you the most income based on where you place them. So it's definitely like a huge placement strategy.
Yes, and you could counteract it, like maybe start calling rain on their side, and because like they have river anyway, and try to slow it down.
All right, let's just rain all the time. This is going to work great. I'm definitely going to win.
I think it would not be enough, but we can say
difference. There's a cooldown too for the rain and the mist. So part of the sophistication is like timing your mist, timing your rain, so that you're actually casting it correctly.
Okay, well, take into account the cooldown. Definitely.
Let's try. I think it should help at least.
Yes.
Yeah, take that. You're slow now. Definitely gonna. Let's speed ahead. Okay, they made a lot more money. I don't.
Yeah.
I think raining in there might not have been okay. In any case, that is the regular season arena. Fairly simple to get started. The championship arena, Farmscape, on top of Farmers Feud, is a little bit more complicated.
Let's take a quick look at the HyperX prizes on the line this season.
Ain't accepting ignore, just kicking down all the doors. Guarantee you, boy, if I ask for it, it's gotta be real big. I gotta make it just for my kids, and for their kids, it's kids. That's wealth years and years. Promise my brother soon as he out and finished his bid, we finna do it bigger than anybody ever did.
The top 3 players in each age division today are winning some awesome HyperX Pro gear. Starting with 3rd place winners, they will receive the Cloud Core 7.1 headset. As for 2nd place, They will be getting the Cloud Core 7.1 headset and an Alloy Origins Core keyboard. And finally, first place in each age group will receive a Cloud Alpha S headset, Alloy Origins keyboard, Pulsefire Haste mouse, Pulsefire matte mousepad, and a SoloCast microphone. And lastly, the overall winner of Farmscape Blitz will receive a $1,000 scholarship to help them pursue their coding education and support their path to a career in computer science. All right, let's get back into the action and dive into the final arena of this season.
So, talking about Farmscape Blitz development and what we've done for this arena, not so much talking from my side, because I again just suggested some ideas how we can make it more complicated, and everything else were done by Valent. So after that arena, we are really happy to what Valent agreed for our offer, and now he is a full team member of CodeCombat and full-time game developer. Right? So more cool arenas soon, more balancing. Everything would be better with this incredible developer. But let's listen to him about Farmscape development process.
For the challenge season arena, Farmscape Blitz, we changed the look, the overall look of the arena to kind of an autumn look, and we added a few new things. First off, we added obstacles. These trees, the well, and the rock. Basically, these act as obstacles that the players cannot plant crops on them. But not also that, the obstacles also grant bonuses to certain type of farms that are next to them. And the next, we added boosts. Boosts are basically bonuses that the players can collect by walking over to the boosts. And there are 3 types of boosts, and each one give sort of a unique boost. A few other things that were related to balance, such as increasing the planting and clearing speed so that the players have more action going on, and adjusting a few parameters to the stats to further balance the arena.
Absolutely incredible! We want to extend an enormous thank you to our exceptional game development team. Their dedication and hard work brought these one-of-a-kind farming-themed arenas to life, and it's been an absolute joy to experience. Now, brace yourselves for the moment we've all eagerly awaited. Get ready as our players engage in battle, all in pursuit of that coveted first-place title. First, let's take a look at the top match of the 0 to 11 age bracket. Looks like both players used the same strategy to plan gardens near walls and rivers, so there's not much difference there. Charlotte, your thoughts on this?
Well, that's true, but let's take a look at the code. Let's see, how many lines does the red player have? Just about 500, but then, wait a second, the other player has thousands of lines of code. But I believe the red player, it's more about a matter of quality over quantity. Because the red player does have more dynamic code. So Valentina and Nick, what do you think? What's making that red player have a more sophisticated kind of code?
Well, it is the 0 to 11 age bracket, so we see a bunch of object-oriented Python going on here. So there's a class for the position, and that lets you abstract over where you place farms. So on the blue side, you have, okay, A1, A2, A3, B1. Like, you have to construct those out of a bunch of if-else statements, because you're treating them as like these strings are just, you know, you have to have, what, 100 of them. Well, let's see. Yeah, more than 100 strings. And so, like, your if-elses have to handle hundreds and hundreds of cases, and that is what's contributing to the thousands of lines of code, over 2,100 lines of code here. And here we say, actually, well, B is 66 and C is 67 because A is 65, so we can do some math and turn it to numbers and then do arithmetic on it. And so then you have just code that's like, okay, well, let's look at the offsets. Can we go over 2? Can we go over -1? And that's just kind of moving around, looking compared to where you are, where should we build? And here we have to do every case out by hand. So that's, you know, in the 0 to 11 age bracket, maybe you haven't learned very advanced coding, but you still know what strategy you want. With enough patience, you can be one of the top 2 0 to 11 players. Congrats to player 48 on making it. Whether it be number 1, number 2, hard to say, but I do see some more sophisticated code in here with some object-oriented programming and functional abstractions here. Valentin, what are you seeing?
I maybe wouldn't agree the blue code is not complicated enough, because it reminds me, like if you need to write a code, for example, return prime number, like, and it's like below 1000, the most effective code, it would be just write down all prime numbers. So I would say, are we sure like this code is not generated with another code generator? Because maybe it's more advanced than we think, and it's exactly, there is some really smart algorithm behind which generate code. Like in many programming language, code generation, it's a usual thing, because it's exactly looking like code generation. Like, I'm not sure we really wrote it down everything. So who knows which is better?
Okay, but I think we might have a human code generator here, because look, capital B, lowercase b. Computer don't do it like that. I think we have a human code generator. Well, a huge patience from 48. We do see some sophisticated strategy in here, modeling the future income over time. I just had it up.
But look, it's only first 10 lines using capital, and then everything like lowercase. So my suggestion, like, there is a human tired to typing, on the lines 11. So I'm like, okay, I need to use some GPT, I don't know, like something, and then we get everything like that.
But doesn't it feel more brute force, like writing code this way, and also that you had to write thousands of lines?
Let's answer it with the final score here. Let's see, is it going to be red Chunchila in red, or is it going to be player 48 from CodeQuest in blue? I think red has a higher score, 250 something thousand to 170,000. Chunchila wins. Congratulations. In the 0 to 11 age bracket, Chunchila, you got this. Let's take a look at the leaderboard. And in the 0 to 11 age bracket, Chunchila indeed #1 spot, 662 wins and only 2 losses. That's a 99.7% win rate. And keep in mind that win rate is against everybody, even the older and adult players. Fantastic coding. CodeQuest player 48, also only 4 losses in the whole thing. That's really amazing. Hyper competition from the 0 to 11 age bracket this time. And CodeQuest player 44, congrats for the 3rd place win there.
Next, let's take a look at the top match of the 11 to 14 age bracket. Okay, seeing a lot of wheat in this arena. A lot of wheat and patches with no gardens. Looks like they're moving up and down like a typewriter. Charlotte, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, you got it. They both have the same strategy, and it's interesting that they switched to wheat. But I think we're going to see the difference in the code. Let's see. Blue player has only a little, like about 170 lines of code, while the red player has, thousands of lines of code with a lot of white space. I'm going to give you that. But I think less is more, right? The blue player seems to have a little bit more dynamic strategy. Valentin and Nick, what do you think?
Yeah, so
I'm not fully sure. Not fully sure. The blue player using wheat by default. Maybe we just react because red player using wheat, and it's one of the way. If you copy your opponent behavior and code, you can use their mist as your advantage. So like if you see we're building a lot of wheat, so probably your opponent going to use wheat mist a lot. So use it as your advantage. Build with the same place and get all advantage. But need to check the code to be sure. Because blue players started to building patches and then switch it to wheat. Like, so maybe it's contract strategy?
It looks like they're trying to match stuff in the columns. So you have some more patches here, but wheat here. And I think this is the defend strategy that they've got implemented.
And looks like we're using Wells smart way. So we're not just like building patches everywhere. No, we're building patches near Wells. So get most advantage from this one. So it's already something much more interesting when players start thinking about environment, like how it's placed, like, and how we can use it for the maximum advantage.
Scores like almost completely even. I guess that's what happens when you do a copycat kind of defense thing. Can one of them edge it out? It looks like blue is just like 2% ahead.
Yes, until we move to the natal territory. And that... So copy, copy, copy. No, it's... Okay, I was sure it's not... okay, no, look. Blue started to go to the wells and trying to use wells at maximum. Like, we're like, hey, they are not occupied territory near wells. Like,
yeah,
we should use
so
it.
This near function is like a near water function. And so when you're here and you want to go to near water, you're calling this, and you're deciding which position in the middle is near water and close to you. So you just run straight over these empty squares. Oh no, you're building on the way there. So
why spend time? Like, why not? If it's building really quick. And another thing, look, we're not focusing on the rebuilding your opponent's fields. Maybe later, but first we... Okay, now we started.
Yeah.
But first we focus it on the building own stuff first, like. And then only like, hey, this is well, I can use it better than your wheat. I can build patches.
And red's also clearing. So we didn't see... we're seeing a bunch of that kind of... If I happen to go to where there's another space, clear it. Not like, oh, I better go run over there and clear things.
But looks like blue is winning. Like I it's hard to follow these numbers. Like I try to left, right, and
look at red's strategy.
So,
you have basically this if statement, and you say after every time we build, we rain or miss if we can, and then we just paste that a whole bunch of times, and then we also then go to the middle section where we look at what the enemy place is. So we have some abstraction, but we're not handling quite as many cases. And we're just kind of human compiler here. So ICE 657, I think you might get edged out by a little bit superior abstractions over here from CodeQuest player 001.
Yes.
Congrats to blue for the win in the 11 to 14 age bracket.
I think red one just like wanted to see wheat everywhere. So like the whole world covered with wheat, and only strategy was about like where to build next, like what the road would be most effective.
They are maximizing combined production here. Yes. Almost every square is filled. Whereas the first match, it was a whole bunch of clear the enemy patch. Let's take a look at the leaderboard. Looks like we have 8 losses, 98.56 win rate, very solid, but actually not as competitive as the 0 to 11 age bracket. Here we have an upset. The older players here, maybe just not as hungry, I don't know, but the win-loss ratios for these players significantly behind where our younger students were. That must have been some determination. Congrats again to CodeQuest player 001 and ICE player 657 and ICE player 18 for the top 3 in the 11 to 14 age bracket.
Now, this is the open bracket. Similar to our last arena, we're seeing a similar technique of all weed and patches with no gardens, moving in a similar typewriter motion. Ooh, but I see the addition of boosts.
Yeah, those boosts can make a big difference, and there's different kinds of boosts that increase your speed, the robot speed, or increases the income, but it takes a lot more sophisticated coding and strategy to time everything correctly with those boosts. So, Valentina and Nick, does either player actually manage to do that correctly?
I see red having a lot of boosts. Like most of the time the red robot has a boost going, whether it's the fire, the water, or the earth. So there certainly must be some code in here that's prioritizing those boosts.
Well, it would be most effective if we're nearby, so maybe there is no point to hunting for the far away boost, but if it's just like 1-2 cells near you, like why not to make a quick side quest and take this one and you win some time. It's maybe not so much, but just imagine like 1-3 seconds there, then half second there, and at the end it can be like minute after all. Huge boost.
Yeah, and we see that the red robot will go out of its way a few squares and prioritize those boosts. So there's definitely no preset movement pattern in the middle here. Let's look at the code.
Yeah, and even like if their strategy looks similar, but red trying to collect some boost, and we see results.
Too hard.
Like slowly.
Thanks, KK JavaScript. KK is a very regular player of the arenas and often scores very highly. So we'll see how they do on this one. Well, look at this code. It's so dense. You need a knife and a fork.
I'm also noticing these like matches are super close. Like it's like, ugh, bare knuckle.
Oh yeah, the current score is 17, first 538, 72, 77. Well, they're still in the kind of build on your side phase that a lot of those players do in the beginning. So the strategy's pretty similar.
Okay. Yeah, so we're trying to build the strong base, like first. So it's a good strategy, kind of like solid and confident for most of the opponents. So, and then you get to the like, strategic field maneuvers, like trying to overrun your opponent. Like so, like blue hunting for that river. Like so, like hey, somebody built a river here. Like I can use it. Why not?
Yeah, and replacing Red's garden here because we have water in this well.
But I suppose that river was from the red one, so blue just decided to use it. Like yeah, so like see, and for some reason,
I don't know if that's the right play there.
Yeah. And red ignored its own river, like so, like there's like garden, river, and they're like, oh, I go for something else. Like, why? Like,
well, there's another one.
Because they see a well. Yeah, I think they must have an interesting priority sequence. Like, hey, the well is more important than the river.
Maybe they got tired. Like there's a lot of code and math here for figuring out the value of various things, and they're modeling the boosts, the rivers, the enemy income, the mists, the rains, the travel time with the boosts. I mean, yeah, it's a lot of code, but it seems to be working pretty well. We've seen taking a slight edge over blue player Shi 11. So this is one of our China tournament's teachers. So we get the adults getting on the action too, not just the students. We have those coaches in those training centers. So let's see what she's doing. Oh, we have very, very short variable names. It's like a mathematician over here. And we are handling the boosts here as well, although we're not prioritizing them as much. So do I see them going for boost? I mean, it is a lot of river priority that it seems. So we're really just trying to
usually
the water.
Usually red one has some shot hooks for a boost if it's nearby, so why not to taking it always? And blue, for example, blue could take this like water boost and they're like, no, never mind, I don't care.
Not as much emphasis on the boost, all up in the waters. Doing a lot of just math in here. 358 lines of code, very tight. This one, 709. And these are like chunky, meaty lines of code too. Just really jam it in there with the JavaScript. Let's see how this plays out. Red's got an advantage, a little bit of advantage here, and I think it is because of those boosts and maybe, you know, some subpar plays where blue maybe goes for the water even if it's a big travel time.
I like the strategy. So look, most of the time we're just not trying to build this whole empty space. We're just like, no, I go this well and rebuild my garden. So I think for the top well, if I'm right, we rebuilt it already several times, like after each other. So we're just like running in loops and just like, my well. Not my well. No, my well.
You got the last word on this well, but you didn't have the highest score. Congrats to KK JavaScript in red for pulling out the winner of the open bracket. Let's take a look at the leaderboards. And congrats to KK JavaScript for first place. 98.74% win rate, only 8 losses, winner of the open bracket. Amazing work. Still not as competitive with those 0 to 11-year-olds, but pretty good. The adults still got some competition in them. And teacher Shi 11 with a 95.63% win rate, 28 losses. Second place, congrats. And then Lang Yue, another teacher from our Asia tournaments, just behind in third place with 30 losses and a 95.16% win rate. Congrats to the open bracket winners.
And now, the moment we've all been waiting for. Let's take a look at the 14 to 18 age bracket. And whoa, this looks like some seriously complicated code. I'm seeing mist, rain, boosts, building wells. I mean, the list goes on. It looks like red is building up their safe territory before moving out towards the middle, but Shining Lice is just going in for the kill.
Oh yeah, I mean, red player is trying to do the ultimate min-maxing. So they're maximizing the efficiency of their movement so that as you're moving to your target, you're planting and picking up boosts along the way. But like you said, Shining Lice, and we know Shining Lice, that Shining Lice's movement is super chaotic, going back and forth between their own 3 columns and the neutral columns. I don't know if there's a method to that madness. Nick and Valentine, is there anything you see in his code?
There's too much to see. It's like I need days to read. Like, so if I have to code review it, like I would take like, okay, give me a few days to take.
Well, Valentine, look, he explained it. Strategy. That's what the code does. You gotta comment your code.
We already know. So this would be some host who going to read this code. So let's explain, not make them suffer. It's thank you, Shining Lice.
Oh yeah, look at
I
that.
see something.
Okay, hill climber. We've got some like machine learning going on here, of course. So like previously Shining Lice's solutions. Now remember, for those who don't have context, Shining Lice has won all but 2 of the championships. And the only person to ever beat him was Valent, who we just hired as a full-time game developer. So Shining Lice, when you get old enough, come find us for a job. But as you're still in high school right now, you know, I guess you can sort of do that. But previous Shining Lice solutions have featured a bunch of kind of dynamic bidding on what is the next action to do, all in this kind of like artistically crafted, you know, heuristic system that just simulates the value of everything. But here, going beyond that, we're explicitly pulling in simple machine learning techniques, which, you know, normally machine learning you need your supercomputers and graphics cards and all this. But we've got 10 iterations worth of hill climbing going on in here. And we're handling mists, we're handling rivers, we're predicting the opponent's mists and rivers into the future. Somewhere in here we have enemy next rain. So we're acting as if the enemy is going to use the rain optimally up to 12 seconds in the future and planning our strategy based on that. And like all of that is going into why we do stuff like jaunt out to get this well before going back here, or, you know, as we're moving around the middle, like from here to here, get the well.
Wait. Nick, so he's literally doing weather forecasting?
Well, you want to automate your agriculture. You got to take everything into account. Or not everything. He's not taking the boosts into account. Just commented all that stuff out. Don't even need it.
Waste of time. Waste of time.
Like, past 1,000 lines of code. Never mind. Just finish up. Let's see what Red is doing here in the code. So this is like that very dense, like, math stuff.
Oh, yes.
Using the map that we've just follows array index.
Yeah, and I think that's why the movement's more methodical, right? Because it's almost like it's based off the pattern, like making. But yeah.
A lot of code to figure out mist rains. They are looking at the boosts in Wanting Zhao is looking at these boosts here. So we are modeling that and what the enemy's economy is going to do.
I like how Shining Lice using some diversity in the usual base. So most of the players just like for the like 3 columns using the same strategy, and Shining Lice uses something new. So there's like a river, wheat, patches combination, and then like, oh, there is a well, so I don't need to build whole river, like so some of them. So more understanding of how environments work, because most of the player using only wells, like so we're just like, oh well, I need to build patches or garden. I'm not sure why we cannot agree about like what is better, patches or garden. I definitely need to check this balance number, because there should be something one answer, and it looks like no.
Look, there it is. There's one garden. Look at this move that Shining Lice has done. So we're up here, and then the next move is to go almost as far as you could go, all the way down here. We just really need to take over this patch, and then from there we're gonna do the stuff around. I mean, that only emerges when you have it's kind of alien behavior. Like, you would never think to do that, but the machine learning system inside the code is thinking to do that. So Shining Lice has tamed the alien, basically. And so although we don't understand it, yet it still beats us. Like, Shining Lice has a comfortable lead. It's kind of like when it plays those weird Go moves and you're like, really? And then you're like, really? Like this is kind of, you don't know what's happening, but all you know is that you're playing against Shining Lice.
Yeah, like, why is this patches? Like, so it doesn't have meaning, like, from like, patches there? Like,
well,
this like,
look how much it's getting 120 per second. Like, this is like a hugely contested thing. These other ones around here are like a fifth of that. So like, this one.
On this point, you can build everything. Just like, I don't care. I just think it would be aesthetic to build patches between trees. Why not? I can afford. I have like plus.
No, but I think Nick makes a good point though. It's just like it's like playing chess with a super advanced player. So they're thinking so many steps ahead that it doesn't seem logical when you see the action. But that's because their algorithm's already anticipating these steps that we can't even see with our eye.
It
right?
used to
so
be a
this
garden.
is crazy.
And eventually, when we took it over, it's a patch, and we're like, you know what? Never mind. I don't care that it was a garden. Now it's a vegetable patch.
Yeah, there's got to be a reason why we just can't see it because we're not the master like Shining Lices.
If you were playing this board game by hand, even with infinite time, I think you would still lose.
Oh my god. Yeah, totally.
What I really love about like building those arenas, like, so how many already I built, like, so now with Valorant, so even like I know all rules, I know all numbers, like, and each time I have no idea what player is doing, like, so like when I design on paper, like, so okay, I probably were going to use this strategy, that's why I put numbers like that, and then Shining Lice. But like we're doing like we don't care about what you saw is about, like we're going to use our own strategy, like, oh, so it was possible? Like, I have no idea. Like,
we can't
like
predict the strategy. We can just predict that we're going to be staring at this two-word phrase at the end of it. Will somebody emerge a champion to defeat Shining Lice, and or you know, get a job with us, and then we'll need a new champion. But go ahead, take your shot. Congratulations to Shining Lice on another AI League and CodeQuest combined win. Let's take a look at the leaderboards for the age 14 to 18 bracket, and we can see Shining Lice only with one loss. Now I really want to go find that match because someone somewhere managed to give him one. It wasn't enough to take him off the top spot, but he wasn't completely undefeated, so there is glory to be had for the other players on the board. And then we have Guanting Zhao in second. Congrats, only 5 losses, 99.2% win rate. And then we have Li Cheng over in the third place. Congrats to our CodeQuest and Asia players for the top 3.
All right, this leaderboard, it's as usual, but wait a second. Someone actually made Shining Lice have one loss. So I'm telling you, there is a possibility that someone could beat it out. We're just waiting to see it. Now, Shining Lice, way to go, and you're part of Team HyperX. There we are. And then second place is Guanting Zhao, followed by Li Chen, which admirable win percentages there as well. But again, congratulations to Shining Lice as always. Maybe one day we'll see you beat, but this is not the season.
Now, normally we see that the 14 to 18 age bracket is the most competitive, but this time the number 2 player is not from that bracket. It's the 0 to 11 bracket winner, Chen Qile, that we saw earlier. So I really want to see, with only 2 losses, what that match looked like between Shining Lice and Chen Qile. Let's take a look.
Okay, so now let's take a look at the overall top 2 player match of 0 to 11 bracket plus the 14 to 18 bracket. Charlotte, what are you seeing?
Right, this is so different from the other age brackets because, you know, before we see them first starting off building in their own zone and then going into the neutral, look at these two. They are hopping back and forth. They're realizing, wait a second, Shining Lice started going towards the middle, so then the red player is also going towards the middle. This is very dynamic algorithms going on. They're really anticipating the enemy's movement and then reacting accordingly. Again, with that resource, like, they're planning to build plots close to wells. They're using boots. They're using this. They're using everything in their toolbox. Like, Nick and Valentine, what do you all see?
I think the reason why we started to building in the neutral territory, because both players used reins on the first second, just immediately on the opponent side. You can see it like in the first second, like bam, reins. So we both figure out like, okay, no reason to stay in the predictable zone, because like problem if you building in your like safe area, you're kind of like predictable, vulnerable, because your opponent can just like, okay, just like rain, the same column, and you would be slow. So we both reacted on that like, okay, it's dangerous, not effective place, let's go in the middle, because in the middle you already not so free about using rains, because like you can see sometimes we're using rain and it affects both players again, but in this your opponent territory, it's kind of like if safe to use.
Keep your friends close, enemies closer, everybody's gonna get wet. So we're like lots and lots of competition around the same few plots. And so back and forth in the beginning, we were just keep building over here. And of course, this is closer to red. So Chen Qile thought they had it, but then eventually after this interplay finish, Shining Lice has all 4 of the superpowered plots around this well. And so somehow in this like brutal competitions like this, it's like playing tennis and running straight up to the net. Shining Lice seems to have the edge here in how his code is reacting.
Yeah, but this one's super close, right? Like compared to the other one. So it is a definite. I love your metaphor of like that back and forth. It's a true volley or ping pong, really.
I have played tennis and ping pong at least one time, so I'm qualified as an expert to talk about these sports.
Okay, yeah, me too.
Yeah, and here we are using gardens and patches more effectively. So yeah, now I remember like gardens are better when there's like a lot of free spaces, and patches more effective when there is like some diversity, like occupied space. So if there's like forest, well, it's better to build patches. Like if other players already built something like weed, something around, patches. But while there's a lot of free space, use gardens.
That makes
so you
much,
can see.
Yeah, that makes so much more sense, Valentine, because in the past ones we were going, where are the gardens? But it's because they were so packed, like with all of the other fields, that the gardens just didn't make logical sense. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so there's like sometimes you can like sabotage, maybe let's say this way. Like if you see a lot of your opponent gardens, just build your own patches, and your patches get advantage from opponent gardens, because patches like biodiversity and gardens don't like it. So we just like drop down, and your patches just like you get something, but the main point how you use the games. Like so, yeah, it's we can see Shine Light. So previous match was like about like weed, heavy building, relics, everything. Here it's just like gardens, like totally opposite strategy on the first look. So it's exactly example of like reactive code. Like so depends like how your opponent do it, like what obstacles here like. And by the way, what I have that noticed at first, like I mentioned about rain, but there is another reason. Look at their starter territory. There is like no wells, there is rocks, forest, so it's really a bad place to build something, because you cannot build river anymore, like because those rocks. Like so, yeah, what's the reason? Let's go in the middle where like 6 wells, they're like really packed place, like water paradise.
Yeah, that's
so if
truly
you're not modeling
reactionary.
the economy, you're going to have a bad time on this particular map, because this is a bad place to build. These players both modeling economy, both do the correct strategy. Shining Lice just twice as much code, 10 times as much alien machine learning. My hat is off to whoever gave him the one loss bit.
Could you back? I really like how Shining Light use this, like so like so like Shining Lights here. There's like a moment when he's taking it was like so. There was a rain, taking water boost, and just like as a rocket, like just moving really fast. It was really effective. Yeah, that's one. Like he exactly using their boost, like about like there is rain. I have water boost.
I think that was an accident, because the boost code is all commented out. I think.
That's true.
I think that's some luck right there.
Not waste time on boost.
Okay, then it's luck, but it was really nice usage.
Well, congratulations again to Shining Lice for another AI League Championship win.
Congratulations again to Shining Lice. Their code this season allowed them to score 614 victories and take the title, yet again, of overall all-champion grand prize. And if you didn't place, don't worry, HyperX has you covered. All AI League players get 20% off from HyperX.com. Just use the code HXCodeCombat at checkout. Regional and product limitations apply. Now, let's catapult ourselves into Season 9, the Reign of Code season. Valentin, can you give us a glimpse into what's in store for this upcoming season?
This arena, we decided to take our favorite arena and to add some epic battle, because like, okay, enough farming. Let's get some ogres and skeletons in action. So we took our Giants Gate arena and decided to rethink it. Like, so even if it looks familiar for you, there is a lot of changes here. Like, there is like some spawn creeps and some rules following more like MOBA games. So we kind of try to mix between Infinite Inferno, Giant Gates, and other arenas and took the best practice. Currently it's in balancing, so yeah, a lot to do. Yeah, you see there's like fireball spells, like, and catapults. Like, who does not love catapults? Like, so it's the best part, right? And probably we're going to add more new units here, so I think we will get a strong competitor for our most epic battle, Infinite Inferno. So we'll see in the end of the season, like, if we get some dragons maybe in the end. Why not? We need dragons.
A huge thank you to the entire CodeCombat community and all of our players this season. Thank you to our experts here today and to HyperX for all of the support. Feel free to check out all the latest leaderboards and start playing at codecombat.com/league.
Welcome to the evolution of esports, where you don't just play the game, you code it. The CodeCombat AI League is the first of its kind. Part AI battle simulator, part game engine for learning real Python and JavaScript. Refine and perfect your code in your quest to become a CodeCombat AI League champion. Competitive coding has never been so epic. Join now.